If you've seen my past onechanbara video, you know I have a soft spot for this series. For a bunch of budget action games, they brought a lot of ideas. Shoestring budget be damned. Didn't stop them from getting creative, putting their own spin to established norms while staying ahead of the curve sometimes too. Because of that, I still say they should be recognized for being pretty cool. Not the best gameplay with those earlier titles, but they started with a lot of heart to give it all they got. So when I heard they were putting out a full-on remake of the first two games all in one package, I was pretty hyped. And with this new art style and the fast-paced looking gameplay, yeah, seemed like an awesome return. Spoiler, but when I finally played it, ended up getting the platinum in like 4 days. So yeah, I was locked in. And I really liked how they lined up to make a full-on picture too. Pretty neat. But yeah, that's why I'm excited to play it again for the channel, because Chanbara definitely deserves some more loving. This is Combat Overview. Here we go over the general controls, their main mechanics, who or what we use them on, and then seeing how it all comes together. So we have our main attack doing some slice and dice action. No heavies here, instead we have sub-weapons that'll do special attacks. And depending on your main weapon, it'll use different moves from far-reaching projectiles to these up-close melee attacks. And yeah, we have on-the-fly weapon swapping. But yeah, both weapons have their own combo that'll loop into itself. Nothing too crazy. As you can tell, it's just a field full of squares. And there's no delays either. And we'll only have one ender starting with our sub to main weapon. Got ourselves a charged up sheathed attack to do this crowd clearing katana cut. Or dual blades will do these cross slashes. And Saki, even though her special attack is the same with both weapons, her chain attacks are way cooler with quick far-reaching crowd control swings and these left-right hooks to stop an entire crowd, doing what punch girls do best. There is a sweep and launcher. These two more multi-hit mashing. They do look pretty flashy though, and just something to mix things up. And oh yeah, we also have on-the-fly character swapping. It'll cancel end lag so you can tag them in to follow up as your last character continues to do whatever they were doing. And they'll heal gray health while bench too. So combine that with weapon swapping, this lets you put together some fun looking combos. Also, I'm gonna use some of my old clips from years ago here and there, so forgive the little lower quality at times. Okay, there's something called cool combinations. These are timed inputs as you land that current attack to start your next one with extra speed, damage, and even extends that base combo with more hits. This has always been a thing in the series, and yeah, later action games from Neo to Arkham used it years later. You can also turn on this timing bar for little assistance because the screen can be covered with a lot of moving parts, making things hard to see sometimes. Which yeah, Hi-Fi Rush would use something similar later on. Onto defenses, we have this dash step. Lets you move around with ease since there's no penalty for mashing it. And yep, we got perfect dodges that you can do on reaction since they cancel attacks, which also saves your current spot in your combo, letting you continue it afterwards, just like in the past games. We also have a parry, which again can be done on reaction mid-attack, so if you're ready for it, you can shut them down real quick. Mistiming it has you deal with some end lag though, if it doesn't make contact with anything. But yeah, parries repel and stun that enemy and any other nearby ones too. Jump canceling is a thing. No iframes like DMC, but lets you make some custom combos. So it's still worth mentioning. Looking at the HUD, the white bar is our health, and that segmented meter above is our ecstasy. It fills up just by attacking enemies. But that perfect dodge adds to it the most. So that's another difference between our defensive options right there. Do you want to quickly stun enemies for cool finishers, or do you want to build ecstasy a lot faster to unleash a powerful attack at the cost of 1 pip of our meter? And each weapon has their own version too, which is pretty cool. Could be an up close and personal barrage, or multiple blade beams to pierce through a crowd. It does empty over time, so if you don't stay on the aggressive, you'll lose it. So it's a momentum kind of thing. But yeah, easy to combo into, it multi-hits, has complete iframes, and lingers, which means you can swap characters during it to continue the pressure. And one of the classic meter mechanics to onechanbara, the blade wipe. As you hack and slash hordes of the undead, your weapon gets soaked with whatever's left of them. And if you let it build up too much, all the way to the top, you'll do way less damage. I did like it better when we had the whole blade lining our screen, but it still does its job here. To get rid of it, we have to do the blade wipe, or reload as it's called here, which is pretty hype to think I'm reloading my katana. But yeah, this limits your mashing, and reloading it will clean it completely. Cool thing is you can even cancel into it. Doesn't clean as much, but it lets you reposition at the same time. And as you continue to stay on the aggressive, filling the screen with red, you'll see your icon get filled the more you get covered. This is Berserk. It'll pop on its own automatically when it's full, and for a limited time, it'll lower your defenses, but your attack speed and damage is greatly increased. And as you continue to stay on the aggressive in Berserk, you'll see your icon begin to crack more and more, and then shatter. You go into another powered up state with our ecstatic form. We'll get an even larger damage buff. We have hyper armor, and our health will drain slowly in this state, but we'll get it back just by landing hits, which is a nice balance. Honestly, you'll dish out more damage than it takes away, so you'll heal it all back and then some in no time. And again, it'll end on its own after some time. There's also a leveling up system. You'll go up one level pretty much at the end of every mission, and you get to pick between health, damage, and defense. You can manage to max out all 3 stats, you just have to reach level 99. There's even a shop to buy rings with some passives, from straightforward base stat increases, some to make perfect dodges and cool combinations more lenient, or more give and take ones like easier parries but reduces your defense, or increase your damage but it makes your weapons degrade a lot quicker. It's cool you can stack the same ring to double their effect, or just mix and match for some little synergies. When it comes to enemies, we have the basic walkers. They'll slowly approach you and do this pretty noticeable overhead wind up before attacking. And since they're usually grouped up, it sets up chain reactions. There's police who will shoot you from afar, can parry it to stun them, and they'll attack you with the same looking overhead attack up close. Ones with shields that'll hunker down and shoot you, and yeah, you can parry that as well. And since they're pretty slow to turn around, you can just make your way behind them. Soldiers with miniguns that'll try to mow you down, but that also sets up back-to-back perfect dodges to get you in while building meter to finish them off. Or ones who are a bit tankier, arming through your attacks, so it's best to wait for their leaping attack. These larger guys who will wind up a punch or sumo stomp the ground doing some shockwaves. They're pretty tanky too, hyper arming through attacks, so keep on your toes and be ready to parry or perfect dodge on reaction against these guys. Mudmen who won't be damaged at all with attacks, they need to be stunned by parries or special attacks to hurt them to set up those full finishers, or be in one of those powered up states. There's also enhanced versions of these enemies called Awakened. They'll glow bright red, letting you know they mean business. They have more health, move a lot quicker, hit a lot harder, and will hyper through attacks. So they hard counter mashing, really demanding your attention to react on time since you can't stagger them. So yeah, enemies are the best the series have ever seen. Actual clear windups, they have that glare and very noticeable sound cues before attacking. Different enough approaches to them, but of course parries can solve all your problems. But that's exactly what we do in Onimusha and Rising Revengeance, and just like I said back then, parries will never get old, so I think it's pretty fun. But yeah, enemies have something called a break gauge. You can see it when locked on, the little heart above their head, and it'll fill up more and more with each hit, especially from those special attacks, since that's what they're for. So you gotta pick between doing solid damage from normal attacks, or build a lot of stun with those sub-weapons. It's pretty similar to Lollipop Chainsaw in that way, how pom-poms build stun, and Chainsaw is a damage dealer. Once broken, they'll stand still, stunned with way less defense for a limited time as they recover. This lets you do those cool finishers I mentioned. This is a full iframe glory kill pretty much. Using just this one broken enemy lets you do this sweeping attack. Kinda looks like an Isen, how it'll shoot you forward like that, but that's Aya's. While Saki does a body slam on smaller enemies. Might seem pretty okay since it mainly focuses on one enemy, but that's where its strength is, because she can take out those larger enemies instantly with her cool finisher. So yeah, these are the cherry on top for those perfect parries, setting up some big rewards. Again, just like Rising Revengeance with the Zendatsus and Onimusha with their Isens. When it comes to the bosses, there's a decent handful of them. From a, a large baby who swings their umbilical cord, an undead bear, your dad, who you fight just as normal, but later on in his transformed state. Kinda wish he was a playable character because, why not? Seems to have a solid moveset already. But either way, he's actually a pretty solid fight, acting as a mentor kind of thing. Because we also have rivals with these zombie sisters throughout the game, as well as your own sister. But yeah, all these bosses keep you on your toes, having you learn the little combos to perfect dodge and multi-parry their attacks. All of them having their own combos and unique attacks that's set up for some back-to-back plays. So you'll get in, use some meter, hot swap mid-animation to deal even more damage. Yeah, I'm telling you, this game has some stuff here. And that's Onechanbara Origin. I still like it a good bit. They might have taken away some tools from previous games, like actual trips, kick guard breaks, stingers, launchers that set up a few routes, taunts, and a bit more. To be honest though, you never had to use them since enemies were absolute pushovers. But now, the gameplay loop is leagues faster, with extremely responsive controls, doing perfect dodges, parries, flashy follow-ups, on-the-fly weapon and character swapping, mission mode like Ninja Gaiden, bloody palace with over 100 floors to take down, which has you fight lots more enemies at once, creating new groupings, rematching past bosses, doing some nice plays, even a doppelganger fight against yourself along the way, and after completing it, you unlock a third character, Ray, who focuses on gunplay. Can level up every character for little stat increases, save up for those rings to make little builds from a tanky turtle to a glass cannon to a walking battery, gaining easy meter. And the campaign runs about 5 or 6 hours, but there's a few difficulties above normal if you want more of a challenge. So yeah, there's a good handful of stuff here to keep you busy afterwards. To me, it's a mix of Lollipop Chainsaw and Senran Kagura. And if you like either one of those, then I think you'll enjoy Origin a lot. Plus, it's a great spot to get into the series, since it's easily the best game to date with all the fine tuning they've done. Slimmed it down a bit, but really improved their biggest issues of controls and enemy types. So if you're looking for more bloody, horror-themed action games to play this month, well, you can't go wrong with this one.
Get out of my way.